happy to have this chance to share something we have been researching in the past decade. Now I changed the title a little bit because this title might be more interesting. The software have to be this dumb. Now, it's not. Oh, this one. Okay. All right. Okay. Good. All right. So first, program software. Software is composed of programs. And has anyone used the programs softwares before? Please raise your hand. So everybody, I assume, right? So programs are really, really important software. It's behind every product, every experience, every decision we have been making in all kinds of places. Now, next, I want to ask you a comparison between a bird versus a program. So there's something in common between these two things. Any doubts? What are in common? Run. Good. Any other thoughts? I'm sorry, what? Speed. Yeah, they both want a high speed, right? That's good answer. Well, how about this answer? Well, this actually was from my student, a student in my class. But it's interesting, but what I was looking for is both actually do some kind of computations. Now, which one is smarter? A bird learns to fly better and better. From baby bird, learn to how to capture the prey better and better. How about programs? Can a program learn to be better and better? So that's the question we want to talk about in this talk. Maybe someday. All right. So programs actually have been around for many years, since 1940s. The first computer came up, and the development of programs had going through such a evolvement, the process from the older days using punch cards to now recent decades we use beautiful IDEs to do programming in high-level languages. But now we know that we are using AI to generate some part of the programs. So we have been progressing a lot through the years. However, right now the 1 millionth run of a program is no better than its first time run. So taking this program as an example, this program actually is a very important program which actually does simulations of a hurricane and the movements so that we can forecast the path of hurricanes. Now we have a famous hurricane expert, Dr. Li here. So he can tell you a lot about how expensive, how costly these kind of simulations would be. Now it would take hours to do simulations to figure out the path. But then after a bit time, so things change, we have to rerun the whole program to make a new prediction, new forecasting. Any delay could mean loss of human lives or properties. Now, but for that program, it has the same problem. So the 1 millionth run is taking the same much time as its first time run. Now, our vision here I want to talk about is intelligent software, which is make a software be able to self-learn and self-improve across production runs. Self-learn means it has to be an automatic process. Improve means it's getting better in either speed or reliability, security, or other aspects. Through cross production runs means we can do that, achieve that in a way transparent to programmers, to users. Now, how to do that? How to achieve that? So let's go back to the bird example. Bird can learn. We know that it actually, what's the essence of learning? Essence of learning is getting improved response to outside stimuli. Now, what are the outside stimuli for a bird? Well, the type of prey is a rabbit, or it's something deer or something else. The speed of the prey, distance from the prey, and the surrounding environment, and so on. These are all outside stimuli to the bird. Now, when we talk about software programs, now what are the outside stimuli for programs? Now, programs execution, so how it runs, is determined by three things only. It's code, source code, and the hardware, computer systems, and then the inputs to the program. Now, taking this hurricane prediction program as our example, it tries to produce the predicted path of a hurricane. It runs on the computer, so that's the program here. It gives the code, give the source code, but then it runs on the computer's hardware. The third factor is the inputs to the program. Now, for this program, the inputs can be very complex. It comes from satellite images, for the cloud patterns, and so on, and from some other measure instruments like radars, and also some ocean data, and also the map, the land data, all of these data. So it's a very large collection of data and very kinds of data for it to be able to make a good prediction. So these are the inputs or the outside stimuli. So if the bird learns to give better response to outside stimuli, we want the program to be software to be able to achieve better performance or response to its own outside stimuli, which would be the inputs to the program. Now, to achieve that, we have these two key challenges. The first challenge is how do we automatically find out what parts or attributes of the inputs really matter to the program execution. And the second is how to build up a way to predict the best way to run the program for a given input, important features. So these two key factors, key challenges. The first is about how to deal with input complexities. Now, we know that inputs to a program software can be very complex, like what we showed earlier. Now, not every bit, every numbers in it would determine the execution performance of the program, the running time of the performance, the best way to run the program. Now, what we want to do is to figure out those important parts, pieces. Now, how to do it? Now, can AI help? Now, AI, well, we know that it can do lots of things now, doing pretty well. And we can just give this data to ChatGPT and ask a question. What parts or attributes of these inputs are important? Would that work? It's not going to work. Yeah, it's not going to work. Why is it not going to work? Not smart yet. Not smart enough. Actually, the data set is not professional enough. All right. Okay, so there's some domain knowledge required, right? Okay, so but one thing actually missing right now here actually is when we say what parts or attributes are important, we do not really see important to what. To what? So we actually care about is the program, right? So what parts are important to that particular program? Now, if let's AI to look at the data, it has no clue. What we need to do actually is to let the AI to look at the program, not the data. Look at the program to see how the program uses the data, and then to figure out what parts are really important to the inputs. So that, well, if we change this to this kind of a solution, ask the question a little bit differently. What parts or attributes of the inputs to the program, to this program, critically affect its running speed, give and provide the source code of the program? Well, it's sort of working. It actually can give us pretty decent results, but only for small programs. Now, we are not really dealing with a small program software. We are dealing with software like having millions of lines of code or even more, and tens of thousands of functions. So what I showed here on the slide, this messy graph, each node basically is a function unit inside the program. and they have lots of connections, calls with each other. So this is called call graph. It's very messy, very complex. Now, giving this kind of program to AI, it does not really give you the good result. Yeah. Now, how to solve the problem? Now, we actually did our own research, and we created this solution called RECO. The RECO is a reductive hybrid method, which is a reductive method, means actually it starts from the call graph. So call graph, as I mentioned, just the connections between the function units within the program. And then we go from the bottom to the top, and for each node, each function, it would ask AI to get understanding, figure out some properties, get a summary, and then aggregate this information together to the upper level until to the root, which is the entry point of the program. So that would allow us to be able to address the complexity, software complexity problem. And it's a hybrid method. Just use AI, even with this approach, is not sufficient. We needed to use something else, like a compiler. You don't need to understand what the compiler is. You don't need to understand what this graph shows. What you need to know is, well, there are some other kind of tools which can analyze source code in a more rigorous manner. AI sometimes they make lots of mistakes. We need something else. And then together, we actually solve the problem. And with this, give the program, we can produce an extractor of a module which can extract important features from any given input to the program. And then there's second challenge, which is how to figure out the best way to run the program given the important features of the input. And for this, we build up this pretty typical machine learning problem, and we just use some classic machine learning methods to solve it, to build up predictive models. I will skip this part. And then after that, we can put them together, integrate them into the software. Now, from original software, now we can transform it into an intelligent software. Now, with this, for any given inputs, now the feature extractor will extract important features into the features. And then the predictive model will predict what's the best way to run the program on this input, and then the software will be able to achieve a lot better performance. The more it is used, the better it becomes. Now here are some brief results. Now this is actually a result on a program, computational fluid dynamics, which is also very important in scientific studies and experiments. And what we showed here, the green curve is the running speed of the program across runs. So the x-axis is number of runs it has seen. And then you can see that it gets faster and faster, and it achieved up to 50% speed ups here. And then our prediction accuracy and confidence, which are shown by the red and blue dots, circles, it also goes up and through the runs. And what this indicates is, well, with this whole approach, this program become more intelligent. It's like going back to the bird example, it started to be able to learn automatically and getting better and better. So that's what we want to achieve. And when we did this for more programs, we see 20 to 50% speed ups overall, and 50 to 60% cost reduction when for cloud computing. So for some applications running in cloud. Now, final takeaway. Now, we think that this is the time for software to become more intelligent. And AI, all of these progresses in AI provide the enabler for us to do that. But this problem itself is far from being solved. There are lots of open challenges here. Like, for example, when the software becomes changeable itself, then how do you maintain it? And how do you, if there are problems, how do you debug it? And then there's a trust. How do we trust these automatic injected modules into it? And so on. But that's not the bad news. It's a good news, great news for researchers. We still have some job to do here. Yeah, so that's about it. And at the end, I want to briefly mention, if any teenagers want to learn about AI, we are going to have the second AI camps for this summer. And we did it last year, very successful, great feedback from students, and it's all for charity cause. Yeah, so it's we end up donating over $10,000 to charity for organizations for health, teens' health and welfare. Now, but if you're interested, just feel free to let your kids or other teenagers know. With that, that concludes this talk. If you have any question, I'm happy to answer.
Your famous ICL method, the 中文学校 had to change their name.
Well, we were lucky to have, fortunate to have the same name.
Yeah, so anyone?
Thank you very much. Very great talk. I have one quick question. I'm friends with the reinforcement learning. So when you talk about the AI software can increase the performance to use the deep learning, so are we doing some sort of reinforcement learning here? What is our function, or it's more like a supervised?
Yeah, very good question. So far, what we use for the building of the predict model itself is using supervised virtual learning. Yeah, we haven't used reinforcement learning, but that's great thought. That could be very useful there. Yeah, good. Good.
Yes, so we'll take one more question if anyone has. Otherwise, we'll take a short break, and we want to invite all VIP guests to take a group photo.
So, Professor, what do you teach at NCC?
Oh, I teach system software compiler and also efficient AI.
So what the students come out from your class, what they
learn? From the efficient AI class, they can do build up AI models. They can do AI research, create a new AI technology. And from the system software class, they can learn how to build up like software to make computing better and faster.